Italy may look like one country on a map, but when it comes to food, it behaves more like 20 completely different civilizations. In some regions, pasta is cooked with butter and cream. A few hundred miles south, olive oil replaces almost everything. And on one island, Italian food started mixing with Arabic cooking nearly 1,000 years ago. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Italian cuisine isn't one cuisine at all. If France has lion, Italy has Emilia-Romagna. Many Italians consider this region the true food capital of the country. This is where Parmigiano Reggiano, prosciutto di Parma, balsamic vinegar, mortadella, and ragu all come from. And what most people call spaghetti bolognese barely exists here. Traditional ragu alla bolognese is usually served with tagliatelle, not spaghetti. The sauce is also much richer and slower cooked than the versions found outside Italy. This region sits in northern Italy, where the land is fertile, flat, and ideal for cattle farming. That changed everything. Northern Italian cooking often relies heavily on butter, egg pasta, cured meats, and aged cheeses instead of olive oil. Parmigiano Reggiano alone can age for over 36 months. During that time, moisture evaporates slowly, concentrating the flavor into something nutty, salty, and almost crystalline. But here's the strange part. Authentic balsamic vinegar from Modena can age for decades. Some bottles are treated almost like family heirlooms and passed down across generations. And this is where Italian food starts becoming less about recipes and more about geography. Further south, the entire cuisine changes. Campania is hotter, volcanic, louder, and far more Mediterranean. Olive oil dominates. Tomatoes become central. Mozzarella replaces aged cheeses. And Naples gave the world pizza. But original Neapolitan pizza was never designed to be luxurious. It started as fast, cheap street food for workers. The volcanic soil around Mount Vesuvius created unusually sweet San Marzano tomatoes. Combined with fresh mozzarella di bufala and blistering hot ovens, the result became one of the most copied foods on Earth. But most people don't realize traditional Neapolitan pizza is actually very soft. The center is often thin enough to fold. The crust rises rapidly because the dough ferments for long periods before hitting ovens above 450 degrees Celsius. Campania is also famous for seafood. Clams, anchovies, octopus, and mussels appear everywhere along the coastline. Spaghetti alle vongole looks simple. But when done properly, the entire dish depends on balancing garlic, olive oil, starch, and the saltiness of fresh clams with almost no room for mistakes. And then there's limoncello. The lemons grown along the Amalfi Coast are unusually aromatic because of the intense Mediterranean sun and mineral-rich soil. But Sicily takes Mediterranean influence even further. Sicilian food barely feels fully Italian sometimes. That's because Sicily spent centuries under Greek, Arab, Norman, and Spanish rule. And every civilization left ingredients behind. Arabs introduced sugarcane, citrus fruits, rice, and pistachios during the Middle Ages, along with advanced irrigation systems that transformed what the island could grow. Almonds had already been cultivated in Sicily since Greek times, but the Arabs significantly expanded their production across the island. Without these contributions, modern Italian desserts would look completely different. Cannoli originated here. The shell is fried until crisp, then filled with sweet ricotta that's often mixed with chocolate, pistachios, or candied fruit. But the region also loves aggressive contrasts. Sweet and sour combinations appear constantly in Sicilian cooking. Raisins mix with sardines. Eggplant gets paired with vinegar and sugar. Pasta alla norma combines fried eggplant, tomato sauce, basil, and salted ricotta. Simple ingredients, massive flavor. And then there's arancini, deep-fried rice balls stuffed with ragu, cheese, or peas. Originally designed as portable food for travel and work. But this is where things get interesting. Even the shape changes depending on the city. In eastern Sicily, they're often cone-shaped. In western Sicily, they're usually round. Italian food arguments can become unbelievably regional. Rome's cuisine is much harsher and more minimalist than tourists expect. Lazio doesn't hide ingredients behind heavy sauces. Instead, Roman dishes are built around sharp cheeses, black pepper, pork fat, and technique. Carbonara comes from here, and authentic versions use no cream whatsoever. Just eggs, pecorino romano, black pepper, guanciale, and pasta water. That's it. The entire sauce exists because hot pasta emulsifies fat, starch, and egg yolk together in seconds. Mess it up slightly, and the eggs scramble. Cacio e pepe is even simpler. Pecorino cheese, pepper, pasta water. 3 ingredients. But Roman cooks obsess over texture and timing because simplicity leaves nowhere to hide. This region also has deep roots in shepherd culture. Pecorino Romano was originally designed as a durable cheese for workers and soldiers because it lasted long journeys without spoiling. And ancient Romans consumed so much garum, a fermented fish sauce, that entire industrial districts were built around producing it. In some ways, Roman cuisine was already using something similar to modern umami thousands of years ago. Tuscan food feels older than most Italian cuisine. It's rural, restrained, and heavily tied to peasant traditions. This is where the phrase cucina povera became famous. Poor cooking. Not because the food tastes poor, but because historically nothing could be wasted. Tuscan bread is famously made without salt, and the reason goes back centuries. In the 12th century, Pisa controlled the salt trade flowing up the Arno River toward Florence. During a trade dispute, Pisa cut off the supply and heavily taxed what remained, so Florentine bakers simply stopped using salt altogether. The tradition never left. That bland bread later became useful in dishes like ribollita and panzanella because it absorbed soups and olive oil beautifully. Florentine steak is another Tuscan icon. The cut is enormous, thick, and traditionally cooked extremely rare over wood or charcoal. The cattle breed used, Chianina, is one of the oldest and largest breeds in the world. But Tuscany is also wine country. Chianti vineyards dominate huge sections of the landscape, and wine influences the cuisine constantly through sauces, braises, and long, slow cooking methods. Still, compared to southern Italy, Tuscan food often feels surprisingly restrained. Then you reach the north again, and rice replaces pasta. Lombardy doesn't cook like southern Italy at all. Butter becomes more common than olive oil. Cream sauces appear more frequently, and risotto dominates entire sections of the region. The climate is cooler and wealthier historically due to trade and agriculture around Milan. Risotto alla Milanese is the signature dish. The rice is slowly stirred, while starch releases gradually into the broth, creating a texture that should flow almost like lava. And saffron gives it its deep, golden color. Legend traces the recipe back to 1574, when a glass painter's apprentice at Milan's cathedral, nicknamed Zafferano for his obsessive use of the spice, is said to have added it to the rice at his master's wedding feast as a joke. Whether that story is true or not, the first written recipe only appears in cookbooks from the 1800s. Cotoletta alla Milanese also likely influenced Wiener Schnitzel in Austria. But unlike many schnitzels today, the original Milanese version is often thicker, bone-in, and fried in butter. And this region loves gorgonzola, one of Italy's oldest blue cheeses. Creamy, sharp, slightly spicy, and powerful enough to completely dominate a dish if used carelessly. But on the northeastern coast, Italian food becomes lighter again. Venice spent centuries as one of the richest trading powers in Europe, and its food reflects that history immediately. Spices arrived here long before much of Europe had access to them. Cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, and pepper became symbols of wealth. Venetian cuisine uses more seafood, rice, and preserved fish than many inland regions. Bacalà mantecato is one of the classics. Salt cod, whipped slowly with olive oil until it turns into a smooth spread. The technique probably arrived through centuries of maritime trade. Venice also helped popularize risotto because rice grows well in the wet plains surrounding the region. And then there's tiramisu. Many historians trace its modern form back to Veneto during the 20th century. Coffee, mascarpone, cocoa, sugar, and soaked ladyfingers layered together into something that feels simultaneously heavy and light. But farther northwest, Italy becomes greener, sharper, and far more aromatic. Liguria is squeezed tightly between mountains and the Mediterranean. There isn't much flat land. So the cuisine became heavily dependent on herbs, olive oil, seafood, and anything that could grow on steep terraces. This is the birthplace of pesto. Authentic pesto genovese uses basil, pine nuts, garlic, olive oil, Parmigiano Reggiano, and pecorino. But traditional versions are usually crushed with a mortar and pestle instead of blended. That slower crushing changes the texture and bitterness dramatically. Focaccia is also everywhere here. Soft inside, crispy outside, covered in olive oil and salt. Some versions are even eaten for breakfast dipped into coffee. And what most people don't realize is that Genoa was once one of the great maritime republics of Europe. Its merchants helped spread ingredients, preservation methods, and trade routes across the Mediterranean for centuries. But Sardinia may be the strangest food culture in all of Italy. Sardinia developed in relative isolation for centuries, and because of that, many traditions survived that disappeared elsewhere long ago. The island's cuisine revolves around shepherd culture, roasted meats, hard cheeses, and flatbreads, designed to last for long journeys. Pan carasau is one example. A paper-thin, crispy bread originally made for shepherds, spending months away from home with their flocks. It could survive for weeks without going stale. Roasted suckling pig is another Sardinian specialty, cooked slowly over wood fires until the skin becomes almost glass-like. But the island is most infamous for one cheese, casu marzu, a sheep's milk cheese intentionally broken down by live insect larvae. The larvae digest the cheese from the inside, turning the texture soft, intense, and almost spreadable. Some Sardinians consider it a delicacy. Others consider it completely inedible. And somehow, both opinions still exist on the same island.